But then again, who doesn't love to just be firing off some exploding bolts into groups of zombies? Oh, I just love to see them bounce around. Ooh, headshot. One shot, one kill. Oh, oh yeah. I don't know about you, but one of my absolute favorite things in Alpha 27 Days to Die is actually to be around sniping silently with bows. And it's awesome. It's almost to the point that you might wonder, are bows OP or are they kind of trashy in Alpha 20? And that's really what I wanted to talk about today. And to do that, I'm going to go through the different bows that we have. We have the regular bows, and of course we have the crossbows. And I'm going to compare it to sort of the equivalent that we have as far as guns, being, I would say, the pistol and the hunting rifle. At the same time, I'll be covering perks and all that as well. And if you do enjoy my guides and my videos, please make sure to press that like button. Maybe, tag it with a long-range shot, snipe it a little bit, thumbs up, and why not subscribe as well? Make sure you ring that notification bell. Everyone's support is greatly appreciated. If you really want to support, I do have my patreon.com/videoe42 or join as a YouTube member as well. But that was some long-range sniping using a crossbow. And the nice thing about using bows is that they're considered, I guess, silent killers is what you would call them, because they don't really make a lot of noise compared to gunpowder weapons, which even with silencer will generally bring on a lot of the zombies. Well, you'll wake them up and they'll be, oh. Well, fortunately, I do have the zombies paused here, because there's a bunch of them there and I don't want to wake them up. So let's start a little bit here from the beginning. It's agility attribute when it comes to bows, or archer rather. And of course, the more you skill into agility, the more damage you do. You see the headshot damage goes up and you have a higher chance to dismember. Always helpful. Beyond that, we also have the archery perk. It's specific that the more you spec into it, it allows you to craft better quality bows, even though I actually find them, so I generally don't craft them. But it allows you to deal more damage and you have a faster draw and reload. You'll see that it goes all the way up to 50% more damage and 50% faster aim, draw, and reload with the bows. Let's take a little bit of a look at the primitive bow. I've taken a few different quality levels here because you can see it goes from 29 to 34 to 43. That's sort of equivalent to almost what the pistol is. Of course, the pistol is not really a sniping weapon, but it can actually be used of it. But if you're looking at the damage, it's sort of equivalent, not entirely, but it's somewhere in between what a primitive bow and the wooden bow is. And of course, the wooden bow is just an upgrade to the regular bow. Then we have the compound bow, which is even better than the other bows. And you can see, look at the damage here. You see 29 goes up to 36 and goes up to 45. So compound mode, of course, is better than any of the other bows. You look here at the quality 3, it goes up to 58, and quality 6, it goes up to something like 64, 65. We also have the 5 different types of ammunition. We have the regular stone arrow that you can craft easily. You have the iron arrow, which also has a pretty nice minus 20% target armor rating, which is good. Then we have the steel arrows, which gives you minus 50% on the target armor. That's really helpful if they are heavily armored. We also have 2 types of special arrows, which is the flaming arrow that I admit I don't really use it that much. It does do a little bit of damage and it deals some fire damage, but I don't know, I just never crafted. Maybe if I have it. What I do love is the exploding arrow. The damage is 180, which is pretty nice. It's got an exploding radius of 4, which can be really helpful if you're shooting into crowds. If we look at the crossbow, that one goes from 52 up to 67, a big jump, and then up to 73, which is really nice. If you could look at the regular compound bow, the iron crossbow is actually better damage-wise. Of course, reload and everything is slower. If we then look at the compound, you'll see it starts at 66 versus just 52, so that does really good damage. Goes up to 84, and then a massive 92. And if you compare that with the regular compound bow, you'll see it's 50% damage more. We also have the same type of arrows, or bolts in this case. We have the stone, we then have the iron, which of course also has the target armor reduction, and we have the steel. We also have, and these I really like, not specifically the flaming because, again, just like the arrow, I don't use it very much, but I love the exploding crossbow bolt. Interestingly enough, it has a higher damage than the exploding arrow. I'm not really sure why they've done it that way, because you would imagine that you're attaching pretty much the same amount of gunpowder and everything, but 250 damage in the crowd is actually super useful because you can shoot it exactly where you want, compared to, for instance, throwing a grenade. So all this looks really good, like 92 damage. Well, let's look at the weapons then. So pistol was 32, 42, 48, so sort of similar to something like the wooden bow. If we then look at the hunting rifle, which is also one shot, of course we do have the sniper rifle and we have the lever action, but those obviously have more capacity than just one, so it's really hard to compare it in that sense. So if we look at the hunting rifle, it starts at 56, which is, I guess, somewhere in between the iron and the compound. Goes up to 72 and then goes up to 82. So again, it's somewhere in between the regular iron crossbow and the compound crossbow. So you might say, well, this one is really good. You know, it does have a pretty good range as well. You're looking at 62 compared to the pistol, which of course has a much lower range. So if you're looking at long range sniping, the hunting rifle is really good. And you might be saying, hey, you know, if I have this one, yes, I can put in my regular ammo, I can put in my high power, and I can put in armor piercing, which of course also gives you the target armor reduction. Of course, there's no way to use any exploding rounds, so you do lose that if you're using just regular guns. So even in straight comparison, the compound bow is better than the hunting rifle. But what about the sniper? Well, let me pull in a sniper rifle here, which has a 94 damage. Of course, it's got a much larger magazine size, which really does help. So if you compare it, it's roughly the equivalent damage on the crossbow. So if you can use the crossbow or you can use a sniper, which of course has almost the same damage, but it's got higher capacity, why would you bother with a crossbow? Well, a couple of reasons that I think makes the crossbow, and I guess to some lesser extent the bows in general, including the compound bow, more preferable, is that if you're shooting with a sniper rifle, you will be waking up and drawing in a lot of the zombies. Again, I have stopped them from walking towards me, because if I start shooting around here, a lot of the zombies that you have, especially if you have them on feral sense, will start tracking you down, and that can be a big pain, especially if you are in a high target environment where there are a lot of zombies around and you don't want everyone to come and find you. So I have here a quality 6 compound crossbow, which deals 142 damage. I have also spec'd out a sniper, quality 6, which does almost the same amount of damage. So you would say they're damage-wise equivalent. So let's try that out. Let's see. The nice thing about the sniper, though, is that you can have an 8x scope. Unfortunately, on the crossbow, you can only have a 4x scope, so it does make a little bit of a difference. Let me see if I can shoot. Let me make sure I'm sneaking, because that gives you that sneak damage. I'm going to shoot. You saw 1.5 sneak damage. All right, that's pretty good, not too bad. Let's try the compound crossbow. And of course, I do have to reload. And let's shoot him, and you see 3.5. Well, that's probably because you spec'd into the bows. And actually, no, it's not. If we look at archery, I haven't spec'd into that either. If we look at then here, Deadeye, the same unspec'd. So what's the difference? Because an extra 2x damage is actually a huge amount, because that means I've done an extra 285 damage just by shooting with my crossbow. And it's because of this extra sneak damage. And this is really what I think makes the bows almost OP when it comes to sniping, because instead of just having the regular damage, you do an extra 200% for using a bow. So you don't get the regular 1.5 damage because of sneaking. No, you do an extra 200%. And 350% damage is huge when you're sniping. And if you look at the other bows, they all have the same property, but the rifles do not. So in comparison, it means that even though a sniper rifle would have been seen as a really powerful sniper, bows somehow have been made into these amazing snipers. Because what I notice is that I can stand pretty much anywhere, and I can just go around and just snipe all the zombies within view. And because I'm not using gunpowder weapons, I'm not causing all this noise, which means that nothing will come after me. Something else I love to add on when I'm using my Archer build is actually the hidden strike benefit or perk that is under the agility tree. If you look here, it goes up 50, 100, 150, goes all the way up to an extra 250% damage. So if I spec all the way in here as well, and I do some sneaking here, and we're going to shoot him in the back, of course, you'll see 6x damage. So I'm dealing 300 damage. And that's something that is even more helpful when you're shooting at just random zombies around. Look at that, 6x damage. Of course, you would get the same for the sniper rifle as well. If you're shooting the zombies, they will give you additional damage for the sneak damage. But again, you'll only hit 4x damage because you don't have that extra 200%. But then again, who doesn't love to just be firing off some exploding bolts into groups of zombies? Oh, I just love to see them bounce around. Not that you necessarily are going to have this many demolisher in one place, but it looks awesome, and you can't do that with a regular gun because they don't have exploding rounds. Maybe that's something that they should be adding. Of course, I suppose there's always the rocket launcher, but again, that's a discussion for another day. So give me your views. Do you prefer to using bows or sniper rifles when it comes to sniping? And in what situations would you be using either? Let me know in the comment section below, and I'll see you next time.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the vetted community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.